So I hope you guys like them.
I got this. I'm going to jump into this from
Okay, let's do it.
stuff, riffs, and you writing. Remember the tape that you came to?
Yeah.
Okay, so and you did all of that. You played the drums and the guitar on it. I can't remember if there was bass on it.
I don't know if there was or not either.
But they were full songs.
Yeah. Jeff and I were both doing that.
No, Jeff came with his own tape too.
Yeah.
Both of
That was
y'all
right
came
after
to
Mother's Day
Greenwood.
out.
Yeah.
Had split up. And Jeff and I were still, hanging out, we never quit really. We just kept hanging out, playing music, doing whatever, getting into a lot of bullshit we should get into. Anyway, I don't need to speak for him, but anyway,
when
yeah.
You wrote those songs, when you wrote those songs and you recorded them, did you do that at your mom and dad's?
Yeah, my old bedroom there.
Okay.
I remember I'd gone and our gear was in the trailer out at the hotel where Steve, our road manager, lived. He lived there. Him and Mike lived there at this hotel. I don't think they lived in the same room. That would have been bad. But I remember going and pulling all the gear out of there so I could record and setting it up. But yeah, I was thinking about, you really, that stuff has come back around. I mean, even this past year, and I've thought about, I just remembered the vocals you did for it, and I thought, if we ever got time, it'd be cool to revisit that stuff.
I think about that first song all the time, like.
Yeah.
It was so good. The one I did vocals on. In the back bathroom at Greenwood.
Oh man, I remember that bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah. So to rewind back to that. For people that are listening, when we had already kind of met you guys and then you decided to come and move on to the same street that we all lived on.
Yes.
But you guys brought these cassettes. It was like, I say you guys because it was Chuck and Jeff,
Yeah.
And you came with your own cassette of 4 or 5 original songs.
Right.
And Jeff came with his own cassette.
Yeah.
4 or 5 original songs. And both of you guys had done the drums and guitars on, and they were full songs. And I don't even think any of that ever got used.
It didn't. Well,
and they were really good
I don't know
songs.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
They were really good songs, but it's like you never used any of those riffs in Cop Sodomy or
there was something in one of those songs of Jeff's that I wondered, and I never asked him, so I don't know. But there was something in a 4-Way Anger song, and I was like, man, I think that came off of one of those tapes. But other than that, no, we never used any of that. I don't know. But I was thinking about all of that, kind of, there was 4 or 5 major things that happened. Well, for one thing, I thought this was kind of fitting. I've got the text pulled up, but this last week, my mom sent me a text. She was going through and cleaning out her stuff and found an old baby book of mine where she took notes about what I was doing. So it said, age 4. It says, Chuck really likes rock and roll. He spends 4 hours at a time in his bedroom listening to. I had my own little record player, and I had mom and dad's records. And I guess what's weird about that now is that I've got kids now, and I think about how they were when they were 4, and they're my best friends. There's some, of course, they're my kids, so I'm partial, but they're smart and everything, but they weren't. There wasn't any desire for them to listen. Now Izzy's been singing since she was born.
No, but it's
But,
not
but as far as listening to music, so I guess I was obsessed with music from an early age,
right.
And I think the next big thing was meeting Jeff.
Well, when
And
you let's say, I also wanted to ask, when was your first band the one that wrote Green?
well, technically, we actually had Jeff and I actually had one, more or less, yeah. Uh, it was the same guys. We had changed the name, but we had Nigel on drums instead of BJ. But yeah, same band. So, and we had about 4 original songs.
I mean, also for our listeners, Green is a song on the Mother's Day Out record. You're in Jeff's old band. It's a big song. I mean, there's big production on it,
There's
but I mean, it's
you know,
not like a short rocker. It's
like,
it's a free bird for Mother's Day Out,
hell yeah,
and
hell yeah.
but it originally, it's a crossover from your old band, and you wrote this.
Yeah. Well, I wrote it with Nigel and Jason Warner Fro, and we had Ed Driver on vocals. And Nigel was mad at me for several years after that because I used that song in another band. But yeah, I wrote that song, and we called it. It was called What, and it didn't have the ending on it. That big ending riff was something that got added on. I don't know if it was in the studio, but it was, we were getting a lot of great, and they didn't change our songs, and they didn't make us, you hear about pre-production and people, but they had ideas, and when they asked you if you wanted to do something, they weren't really asking you. That was just a formality. I don't know why they did that, because they were just going to do whatever they wanted to anyway. But
then, from reading that Slash book, production, I did, that, like, where do we go? Where do we go now? That was not the band's idea. That was
yeah,
that was their dude producing the record, and he had a quick idea and was like, "You guys do this for the breakdown." I mean, I'm not saying
there was stuff there was definitely, harmonies, and there was even one song that the engineer went in and did harmonies with Mike. I don't know. I can't remember which one. It may have been Green. The harmonies in the chorus, the engineer actually did, Brad Vosberg. So, but we knew that, that there was all sorts of rumors from the interns would kind of give us the lowdown when we come back. Like, yeah, that's so. Anyway, I won't get into all that. that major label kind of stereotypical 80s major label story that you would always hear. We were that stereotype for sure, all that stuff.
Well,
but I mean,
so I know they had all these weird, just from talking to you guys, and mainly Jeff, there's all these weird, like, tryouts for the band, and
man,
was it?
Yeah.
Did you hear a rumor that you were gonna get in the band before they told you? Like, how was your tryout for the band? Was there one?
Here's how that happened. We were practicing over in the garage of Jason Warner's parents' house, Fro's parents' house, and we didn't have cell phones or anything back then. So somebody had obviously called one of us and said, "Hey, our producer's in town," and Eli Harville. No, not Eli Harville. I'm sorry, buddy. Eli Ball wants to come see you guys. And we're like, "Oh man," we thought we're going to sign too. Well, I don't know if we were thinking that, but anyway, we were excited.
Hell yeah, you were.
Later on, we found out that was my tryout.
Okay.
Or less, that he was coming to scope me out. So
did you look cool?
What'd you say?
Did you look cool? You had long hair.
I mean, to be honest, I think I had a mullet at that time, you know.
Okay. So Eli knew there was time to grow that out. I mean,
I guess so. Yeah. If you look at some of our early promo pictures, you can see the mullet. And see, now I had the full long hair, but I got busted smoking weed by my mom. So that's when I had to. I went. She was like, first thing we're doing is you're cutting off all that hair. Well, we got down, and I was about 14 or something at this time, 15 probably. I said, well, can I keep the back? So that's how I ended up with another mullet. Anyway.
Okay. So you lucked out with the mullet by the time you were trying out for Mother's Day out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you play any?
But yeah, I think it was all about that. It was, you know, I mean,
no, it was. He was showing up to see.
It was about looks and you know, and Lance was. I was thinking about this morning. You know, Lance was the heart of that band as far as the creative stuff. Well, he and Michael was really creative. I mean, you can't deny that at all. And when I used to go watch their practices before I was in the band, all the hair would stand up on my arms just watching them. I'd never heard anything like it. And they were just ripping, man. This had a ton of energy. Rod was hitting real hard, and Lance had a fully developed sound. You know, I mean, he knew what he wanted to do musically. I don't think I was necessarily at that point yet. You know, we were writing songs in that in our New Damage is what we were called. We stole a title of a Soundgarden song for our name, but you know, I think I was 15 or so, and I wish that I could find those songs. There was 4 of them, and they were really heavily like Jane's Addiction, that kind of influence. I'm sure nowhere near as good, but anyway, you know, so I almost wonder if, and hey, I wouldn't change anything, but I almost wonder what would have happened if, well, I don't know. It would have been tough for Lance to stand. He just wasn't wanting to do the road things either. So that was part of that. So.
Right.
But,
I think about that a lot as far as, you know, even members, you know, not to get personal, but like,
yeah,
I'm just like, oh, I just don't know if Newman could have ever handled all those years on the road with Wake. Like, it would have just driven him crazy.
Well, it's just like I was just thinking about
some people they're not made for that.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about the other day, you know, how we'd go out, and I finally got smarter towards the end and carried a bedroll, but man, you know, you thought you sleeping back out on if it's the hardwood floor, that's what you had. I've got so old now that sleeping on an air mattress hurts my hips. I'm like, man, I've really turned into a wimp, dude. We used to sleep on whatever we had, you know, as it went on, touring went on, you kind of figure out the couch deal, you know. And with Paul Bear, I'll just admit that I was the couch. If there was a couch, I was going to go for it. I'm an old guy. Yeah.
You know me, Chuck.
I think I learned some of it from you. Like, hey, that's the way to do it right there.
You snooze, you lose.
That's exactly right.
I mean, like, you act like you're going to hang out all night if you want to.
We'll hang out right here on this couch.
That's right.
Until somebody else, and then I'm going to lay down on it.
God damn.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I'll fast forward some years, and I know one time, you guys hung out at the Dungeon once, I think, after a Vino show, maybe.
You know,
Jeff did for sure. I would assume you were with him.
I may not have been there. I'm not sure if I ever went to the Dungeon or not. If I did, I don't really remember. I do remember vividly. the first time we came down, you know, we had been listening to all the, not just me and Jeff, but all of our friends at Batesville. We had a wild crew. You know, we were just kind of the misfit freaks in town here, and we relished in that, of course. But when we heard Camp Suicide is that's interesting how that all came about. Camp Suicide, Michael knew those guys. Kenny had actually been in a band with Mike before. So we had that connection, and they were connected with you guys. And then once we started hearing Six Shine and Crankbait and Sunny Days and stuff, I mean, we were just obsessed. And you know, all of our friends here, you know, I've never made a habit out of, you know, I've had a lot of bad habits, done a lot of bad things, but I've never been a thief, but especially music. But, you know, the way that it was cutthroat, man, if somebody was dumb enough to loan me their demo tape, I was going to do my best to hold on to it. So I've got a bunch of those tapes, but we were compelled to get to know you guys and come meet you guys. And I mean, that was, you know, I think I said earlier, there were 4 or 5 pivotal things. That was a big one. Huge one.
I specifically, we played that, it was Crankbait and Sunny Days.
Yeah, exactly.
And you
we thought maybe we had heard a rumor Six Shine might play a surprise show. So we just drove down, and we didn't know, I don't think we knew Crankbait yet. And I remember Jay telling us, because they used to come to the Mother's Day Out shows, but the only one I remember talking to over and over was Jay. We got to know everybody else later, but I remembered Jay from back then. So I saw him, I was like, "Hey man, are you guys playing tonight?" And he's like, "No, we're not playing, but the band you really need to see is." And you know, and he was, I guess Crankbait was playing. Did you guys play that night too?
Yeah, it was.
So we got to see y'all,
Tissue
and
Culture,
we got to see Crankbait.
Tissue Culture from Russellville, and
okay,
Spit on the Plug.
Oh, I remember that name. Yeah.
And yeah, man, we all came back to the house after.
That's what I remember. Yeah.
And I remember even like approaching you and like, you know, bringing up Mother's Day Out, and you were just like, "Dad, please don't talk to me about that."
We were so
way,
we were
you know,
so guarded about that. We had, you know, of course we were like, what, 19 or 20.
No, totally.
So you know how you are at that age, you know. But yeah, we were just like mortified almost at that point by our experience of Mother's Day Out. You know, I'm glad to say that now at this point, and for a while now, but especially at this point in my life, I look back on all that and see, you know, and just see how it all fell together. And you know, it's not a record I just break out and listen to all the time, but you know, we had a lot of fun on the road, and you know, I'm proud of what we did. You know, we were real idealistic, and we didn't know what we wanted. You know, we wanted to be heavier though, and we were heavier.
That's what I was about to say. I have that that demo somewhere, the Kill Rat tape y'all made.
Yeah,
which is basically what Mother's Day Out would have said.
It was, yeah.
It doesn't have Bryce or Mike on it, and it's you 3 guys, and it's like Helmet or something. I mean,
yeah, I think Rod wrote a lot of that stuff. We wrote it. Rod was a great writer. He wrote a lot of some of the best Mother's Day Out riffs, and I think Jeff and we all kind of contributed when we put it together in one day and recorded it. I wish I still had a copy of it. I may somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I shouldn't even bring it up since I say I have it somewhere. It's like rude. But no,
I got the tapes in there that I've you know been telling myself for years that I'm going to organize and digitize, and I still haven't gotten to it. So at least I'm 45. Time's running out. I need to get on it.
Um, don't even go there. but yeah, I guess right around that y'all were coming and visiting, and then all of a sudden it was like the band broke up and y'all just started coming down like pretty much every Friday night, it seemed like.
Yeah,
um
yeah, I think.
I remember specifically Jeff, for his 18th birthday, that's what he did. He was like, I want to go to Greenwood for my 18th birthday. And we had a massive
Right.
party at Greenwood just because it was Jeff's birthday. And you guys hadn't
Hell
even
yeah.
moved down yet, like
Right.
it was
Right.
just, and all of y'all came down for that. And it just seemed
That's.
right.
I'll be honest. I'm trying to remember. There's a lot of those times that are a little blurry for me. But there's specific memories like we just talked about, that normal benefit. I remember all that, and coming back to y'all's house and just a room full of folks with a big, huge circle, and
It's
multiple refreshments being passed around. And
yeah,
it was awesome, man.
I would kill
And we were kind of intimidated a little bit, or at least I was. I just but at that point, and I still do, just look up to you guys. That Six Shine stuff. I mean, I think we all feel the same way about that. That it's just that's one of the main things. That's one of the huge pivotal things that we're all still doing this because of. It's because of the impression that stuff made on us, and still it makes on us. That's something I need to get. I've got cassettes, all that stuff, but I need to get it to where I can. And I know a lot of it's online now, but it was always. I remember being out on tour with Mother's Day Out and thinking about like you guys and Camp Suicide and Six Shine stuff back home, and thinking we don't deserve to be here. Those guys should be out here, or even a pivotal thing for me at least was growing up in the same town with Jaded Heart, and going to watch them practice, and I'll never be as good a musician as those guys. Tony's still putting out videos on Facebook that are just incredible. But they showed us that, you can. I mean, at that point in time, it was you had to move to LA or New York. I mean, that's the way it was,
Yep.
And so it was this huge pipe dream. It wasn't like it is now, to where you can get music on the internet, and there's pluses and minuses to both those situations. But Jaded Heart showed us we could do a real band, and if you work at it really hard, you can sound really good. Of course, I don't, like I said, I've never woodshedded near as hard as Tony. He's just incredible. But so that was a big thing, and so there's a lot of musicians in Batesville, and I kind of think it was because of that, because it was weird. I mean, we're a small town, and we were we just, and it wasn't just Jeff and I, Blake. There was a lot of folks that were coming down and seeing you guys, and we were just really, it was almost a point of pride too, because we're like, these guys are from our state. They're from our, and this is the best stuff we've ever heard. And, so that was, a massive deal, and really kind of the beginning of all this that we're still doing right now.
Just to explain to people, like you're saying, like us in the local scene, where you're like, man, they deserve it or whatever. Explain this, because I understand why.
Right.
How do you and Jeff just quit a band that's on a major label. And I mean, but we're, you know, because all of us at the time, a lot of people are just like, what the fuck? But
well,
not because of you, not because of you, because of selfish reasons. Because we're like, we'd give anything for that, you know. I mean,
you know, that's funny. I haven't thought of it from that angle before, but yeah, that probably. Remember, everybody was like, "What in the fuck are they doing?" You know. Well, part of it was being, you know, really hard-headed, idealistic 18-year-olds, and then the other part was, unfortunately, you know, it surely wouldn't be that way anymore. I mean, we've all kind of spoken to each other, and we've all grown up. But there was two factions of the band. You know, there was Mike and the label really is one faction, and then there was all the rest of us, and it just kept the divide kept growing. And you know, I mean, if we'd been smart or had any of the future in mind, or you know, we just knew that the music didn't feel honest to us anymore. We didn't feel like we were going to be able to create another record with those five people. At least this is how I felt. And it just seems like it was inevitable, you know. But yeah, I never thought about it like that. You know, we had such a huge, just flash in the pan kind of opportunity. I still think it's so. I said earlier, when I would go out and watch them practice, they really had something at that point right there. That was, you know, unlike anything I'd ever heard, and it was powerful. And Mother's Day Out.
Oh, Mother's Day Out. Sorry, I had a glitch here.
No, I'm sorry. I'm getting stuff confused.
It was me.
But you know, so it was shocking, you know, on one hand that they got signed, but on the other hand, it kind of wasn't. Okay. You know, it was just it was a fortunate thing. That, I mean, it's like I said a few minutes ago, it was all LA or New York at that time, and so it was definitely an oddball kind of thing, you know. And we didn't know what the hell we were doing, and I mean, we just loved getting on stage every night and throwing down as hard as we could. That's where we felt like we could kind of take back our dignity, I guess, you know. And going back and listening to the record, you know, it sounds big, it sounds good. We were just convinced that it was just all commercial, watered down. We were kids and had really strong opinions and
well, I mean, really it was for instance, you know, I was a cheese ball back then, but
man, me too.
But I hung out with people like Bobby Red, and they didn't kick me out of the group just because they were into, you know, Pantera and I was into Cinderella, you know.
Right.
So I listened to Mother's Day Out, you know, because I liked production like that. But those guys did not. They made fun of me for that. and you know, it wasn't until you guys started hanging out. I mean, they didn't make fun of me. They made fun of me for listening to it too much, like I did 311 those years.
Right.
So it wasn't like making fun of you guys as much as it was making fun of me. But
I do remember this, and this goes back to those recordings you were talking about, where me and Jeff did everything ourselves. The first time I remember that Bobby came to Batesville, I was playing drums. My bedroom at my mom's house is the first room on the right. So I was in there and I was actually recording drums for you know, I don't know if it was one of those actual versions, but it was one of those songs. And they just walk in the front door. I think Jeff was with him, you know, and they just walk, you know how Bobby is. He's just gonna walk in. And he walked in and he told me later on, he said, I was getting ready to come in there and bust on y'all, you for, you know, he told me, he said, I didn't think that these Mother's Day Out guys were really, and but then it was really cool because he'd seen me playing drums. And he's like, I saw you play drums, and I was like, oh. So it changed his mind, but yeah, I mean, you know, he was straight up with me and saying that I was getting ready to come in there and rip on you for being a cheeser, you know.
Oh, that's the first thing you would do. Man. Okay. I'm gonna fill my coffee up, and I got one last question, if that's cool.
Okay.
Give me 2 seconds.
I get to rambling. I'm sorry.
Okay, so last question. And this is part 2. We'll do part 1. We'll do part 2 another time, maybe. So,
okay.
You know, you quit Mother's Day Out and you move down to join our family. I mean, that's to me was a pivotal moment for all of us, you know. But
right.
Did y'all learn anything cool like from y'all toured with you got a chance to tour with good bands?
Oh man,
with King.
I mean, that was the coolest part of it by far, and irreplaceable experiences. And I mean, the King's X tour, every band we toured with, you know. And here's our modus operandi was we were kids. We were self-conscious about the way our record came out. You know, we wanted to be heavier. So our first defense was the first 3 or 4 days we're on the road with anybody, we just made fun of them, you know, no matter who they were. I don't think we did that with King's X. But every night for the rest of the tour, I just remember me and Jeff in particular, watching every bit of every show, just getting to see a band like King's X sound check, getting to hear Doug Pinnick sing the song Cigarettes a cappella over the PA, you know, all the hair stands up on the back of your neck. And we were real fortunate for those, you know, that the Sugartooth tour, we met Sid Montz, and that was another kind of big deal because he was from New Orleans, and we were already into like Crowbar and Pantera and you know, maybe even I Hate God, but we hadn't heard. He turned us on to Acid Bath, turned us on Soylent Green, but more than that, it was kind of almost like an inn down there, and not that we suddenly started hanging out with all those guys. That's not what happened, but you know, there is a intertwined thing, or at least there definitely used to be, between our bands and New Orleans. And I know for me, I've always kind of looked to those guys as like the bigger brothers down south of us, you know. But yeah, I mean, those tours were incredible. I Mother Earth, band that's kind of came and went, but they were great live, and that guitar player was so good. And yeah, I mean, those are irreplaceable. I mean, the King's X tour for sure, and Sugartooth too. I mean, that first Sugartooth album is still something that, you know, comes out and I jam. It's still so good. And you're getting to watch those guys sound check. I'm trying to remember the bass player's name. The singer was Mark, but those two guys would sit on stage and just jam, and they were writing stuff, it seemed, and it was really cool. But yeah, Godspeed. We got to tour with on Sugartooth. With Sugartooth, we met Tommy Southern. and then years later, we're playing with Tommy again at admissions, it's just like it all kind of came around, and it's just crazy like that. And how small a world it is in some ways like that. But yeah, I mean, that was huge. And I don't know. That was the coolest thing that we got. You always say Beavis and Butthead was our crowning achievement, getting made fun of on Beavis and Butthead, but getting to do those tours with those bands and watching them every night was incredible, and the friends we made. So I'm very grateful for all that. And we got to go to Europe a couple of times, and that was like a fantasy. It almost didn't even feel real when we were over there, but I've been trying to get a band back over there ever since, but hadn't banned it out yet. But I'm still trying.
Well,
I guess I'm talking about our band.
Well, they better give me something more than that goddamn couch. I'll tell you that.